JT said sharply, and the bear's head turned. Its shoulders hunched as its eyes landed on JT, like a sheepish human caught doing something they weren't supposed to. But it didn't make any moves to leave the hot tub. JT took a step closer. "Come on, buddy. I know it's a great view, but you're trespassing." The bear lowered its head and swung it from side to side. It went down on all fours in the tub, somehow managing to wedge its entire massive body in the steaming water. "For Christ's sake." "Look, I'll call animal control if you don't leave, and they'll show up with a tranquilizer gun. Sounds embarrassing, right? You probably want to get out of here before that happens." The bear kept staring at him. JT sidled closer, wondering if he was wrong. If this was somehow an actual grizzly bear that had, wandered the 2,000 kilometers from northern Manitoba and somehow found its way to JT's yard? Not likely. On closer examination, the bear didn't look that great. Scrawny and shabby, skinnier than even a wild bear should be by the middle of May. Its fur was matted and dingy, and one of its ears was ragged. JT frowned. Something wasn't right. Maybe the bear was sick? Just as he decided he probably ought to go inside and call animal control after all, the bear heaved a great sigh and hauled itself out of the water. It shook itself off like a dog, spraying JT with a thorough coating of water droplets, making him swear and take a step back. Finally, with a baleful look in JT's direction, the bear lumbered off into the trees. "And stay out of my garbage," JT muttered before he replaced the hot tub cover and went back into the house. With any luck, that would be the end of that. Naturally, that wasn't the end of it. In addition to the security cameras around the house, JT had set up a couple of wildlife camera traps because he was curious about what passed through his yard. He reviewed the footage every few days. The first time he checked after the hot tub incident, the bear showed up on 2 separate days. Once, ambling along the deer track down to the lake early in the morning. Another time, using a big pine tree as a back scratcher. The security camera mounted above his sliding doors yielded even more damning footage. The bear sunbathing on JT's deck while JT was in town skating, as if it were his house and JT hadn't explicitly told him he was trespassing. "What the fuck?" JT muttered to himself as he watched the bear lazily roll onto its back and scratch its belly. This was too much. The next time he checked the security footage, he was treated to a full half an hour of the bear soaking in the hot tub, brazenly, in the middle of the day, eyes closed in utter bliss. Enough was enough. He wasn't friends with any of the shifters in town, but the Sioux wasn't a big place, and he knew how to get in touch. There was a pub on Queen Street downtown, the Ursid, that was owned by a couple of bears. And JT decided to drop in after his workout a few days later to see if he could get any information. The Ursid was decorated to look like an old-school British pub, complete with dark wood paneling on the walls and a Union Jack hung above the bar. JT had been a few times with friends, but mostly he did his drinking elsewhere, ideally in someone's backyard where he could avoid the autograph seekers, or worse, the armchair GMs who wanted to tell him everything that was wrong with his team. Locals left him alone for the most part, but tourists were always a problem in the summer. The pub did a brisk lunch business. JT had eaten elsewhere after his workout and the rush was mostly over, but there were still enough people seated around the bar that he had to wait a few minutes to get the bartender's attention. She came over to him at last, smiling, and said, "Thanks for waiting. What can I get for you?" JT felt a little awkward about asking, but he'd come here specifically to get information and wasn't going to chicken out now. "I was actually hoping to ask someone about a bear I've seen nosing around my place. Not sure you can help me with that." She cocked her head at him, studying him with her dark eyes. "I'm going to send you to the owner for that. He's in the office doing some paperwork, all the way down that hallway."